As I'm going like this, and he goes to kiss, and I'm like, whoop, and I kind of like just stumble back. Hey beautiful, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, hi, my name is Alexisjayda and welcome. Today's notification shout out goes to Yvonne. Thank you so much for all your love and support. It cracked me up seeing all your guys' replies and you guys messaging me. Oh, the lightning is going to be changing, but you guys' responses cracked me up. How you guys are like, I'm geeking, Jade. Like, I'm geeking, got me cheesing. My husband's like, why are you smiling? Because I did that. Just kidding. But thank you guys for all your love and support. It seriously means so much to me. So today's story time is going to be part of my Nanny series. I have a Nanny series and I'll leave the playlist here. Go in order so you can understand what's going on. It'll be better. It's like a book. You don't just grab a book and open from the center and kind of know what's going on. You have to go from page uno. So I have the story playlist in order of how everything started and where we're at today. So today I'm going to be playing with the Profusion and Mean Girls collaboration. They were so sweet. They sent it to me at my mama's house. So I was like, oh, I'm in Texas, can you guys send it there? And they were like, yes girl. And I was like, thank you very much. So here's all the goodies. I showed you guys a sneak peek on my Instagram and my TikTok. If you guys are not following me there, please follow me there. I'll link them down below so it can directly take you there. Did any of y'all make a burn book? I pretty much, I guess my diary is like a burn book if you really think about it. It's my own little burn book. Do you guys see? And if you guys can hear my kids, I'm so sorry. So with kids, they're kind of stuck to you like permanently, so yeah. Alrighty. So if you guys would like to be notified with my new story times or videos in general, please make sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and then hit the notification bell so you guys are notified. If you guys find that you guys are not being notified, because I did get a few comments, all you have to do is just unsubscribe and then resubscribe it, hit the bell again, and that should take care of it. Sometimes I don't know why it doesn't notify you guys. That's why sometimes on my Instagram I'm like, who wants the link, so I can like directly send it to you guys. So hopefully that fixes it, hopefully. So we are continuing on the Nanny series. I need to update you guys, side note, personally, because I need my ventation moment, because I've been feeling very overwhelmed. You guys help me a lot and you guys help me see things from different sides, different views, and I'm like, I need to sit down and talk to my fam, because I feel like always visiting my family, it can be very triggering, and I've been feeling very triggered. Y'all help me, so we need to sit down soon. My cousin said that she will let me do her makeup and film a video, so I want to do that for you guys as well. My mom as well, so I'll be doing my mom's, my cousin's, and my tia, so that should be really fun. All right, we took it off and this is how it looks. Look at that, so beautiful. After I left JoJo's, I went to my aunt's house slash my mom's friend's house and stayed there. The next day I had to go to work, so I went to the Peach's house and things were pretty okay. They weren't really being mean or anything, because I feel like they were already feeling like, oh, okay, she's gonna continue to have this friendship with Bubbles whether we like it or not. Because the reason why I felt that and kind of knew that is because when I walked in, I started to clean right away. I was already like in my head. The ex and I have not talked, and I wrote him, told him like, can we meet up, can we talk, like, you know, I need to see you, because in this toxic relationship you keep going back, keep going back. It's very hard to kind of just cut it off. I wrote him, he didn't reply, and I thought like, okay, he's just gonna leave me on red for forever. We're not gonna talk. This is it. This is the end of it. This is it. So I got to work, walked through the door, and just started cleaning and helped, picked up, just started going, doing things that I normally don't do as well, like cleaning extra and doing more. I put a load in. You guys know I'm not the one to touch the clothes. That was Voldemort's job. So I don't know if it's because they were like, okay, she's gonna continue to talk to Bubbles, or if they just seen I was just go. If they were like, okay, something's going up, like if they gave it down, right? So I'm just cleaning. As I'm washing some of the dishes, Peaches comes next to me and says, how was it last night? Are you having a good time? Bubbles doesn't even check in with me. You know about what's going on with her more than I do. So that kind of gave me the sense of like, okay, she already knows what's up. She knows that's my friend. She knows that's my friend. So I was just telling her like, oh no, like I was helping her out and we went dress shopping, all of that, and she's like telling me like, oh, okay, bueno, like I'm glad. I'm like, yep. So the wedding was on a day that I did not have to work. So I was already, I don't know if I already put it out there, like, you know how they say like don't say negative things because you will attract it. So I would try not to jinx it. We always say knock on wood, you know, but I would try not to attract anything negative and try my hardest not to think negative. But I had a feeling that the peaches were gonna pull some mess when I needed to go to this wedding, because they already feel like, why are you going, like you're not even good friends with her, like what are you doing, like you're overstepping. Because the comment of, you think it's right that she has to buy you the dress, like I'm just saying, little jabs like that, it doesn't make you feel good. So I already knew that they felt some way, you know what I'm saying. She was kind of telling me like, oh, so what are you doing, let's say, what are you doing the 17th? I don't know if I didn't know, because like I didn't know that that day landed on the wedding. You know how some people are like, oh, what are you doing Saturday? And some of us are like, oh, that's the 24th, I'm doing this. You know, some of us know the date and some of us know, oh, that day I'm doing this, you know. So she was trying to ask me like what I was doing, because she had a friend coming in town. I didn't want to take that baby out while they go and do things. And I'm like, oh, what are you guys gonna do? She's like, oh no, we're just gonna be out, you know, catch up, go shopping. And I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, she'll pay you. She pays really, really good. She just couldn't bring her nanny along. So I was wondering on that day, let's say it's Friday, if you can watch her. And I'm like, well, I don't know, because I don't know what I'm doing that day. And I'm just not sure how to look at the calendar. She was getting really annoyed and she's like, I just need a yes or a no. And so I was kind of upset, because I'm like, damn, like I thought for a minute we were going to have like a, oh, you're so nice moment, you know. And she has her phone in her hand, like if she needed to know that answer right there and then. I tell her like, I don't think I'm gonna be available to do anything that Friday, because in my gut I was like, she's being really persistent. Something is probably happening that day and I just can't remember. It's the wedding, okay? So she was like, are you sure? I don't think you're gonna be busy that day. And I was like, well, I don't know. And I asked her like, when is the wedding again? She's like, oh, you know say, I can't remember. But she did. She was just trying to trap me so I can be like, oh, I'm babysitting, I can't go, you know. So I kept telling her like, oh, I don't know, like I don't know that day. Like, are you sure I'm not doing it? I don't know if I'm doing. Alexis, you're not doing anything that day. And I'm like, are you sure? Like I don't know. So I told her like, you're not saying, like I don't know, like I have to go look at things first. She was so annoyed with me, and she was just telling me, you know, ¿sabes qué? Never mind. She's like, you know what? Never mind. But upset. You know when you get told ¿sabes qué? That means like, you know what? And never mind. And I was like, okay. And I didn't care, because I was like, okay, whatever. I've got my own mess going on in my head and I do not need this right now. I do not. So I check my phone after I'm done with the dishes to see if the ex had replied, and he said that yeah, he could meet up, that we could meet up, but that he didn't want to fight. He kept saying that he didn't want to fight. I'm like, why would we fight? Like we're just gonna be catching up. Like what you mean, like you don't want to fight? So I was already getting into like defense mode. Like what does he mean he doesn't want to fight? Like what happened? Like what? Like what? Because I was like, what would we fight about? What would we fight about? Like I was literally thinking like, what would we fight about? What is he talking about? So I'm cleaning and I'm doing the rest of the chores, and Sam wants to come down and sit next to me and ask me like, oh, like what's going on? Why is your face like that? My face probably looked worried, you know, as I'm cleaning, you know, scrubbing a little bit harder, and I'm thinking like, why did he say that? I don't understand, like what? Like he don't want to fight. I don't know why, but my panza was telling me something was up. So I'm telling her like, oh, like nothing. I'm not making sure not to tell her anything, because we don't have that relationship anymore. I don't want that relationship with her anymore. I'm good over here, you stay over there. And she's like trying to tell me like, oh, so you and JoJo, you guys have been hanging out? And I'm like, yeah. Oh, like did you know that he likes so-and-so, that one girl? And I'm like, oh yeah, I know, we seen her when we were at Walmart, like it was pretty funny, like he was all excited. She's like, how'd that make you feel? Trying to stir the pot. I'm like, I don't care. Like I don't care. I didn't want her to know I like JoJo. If I would have told her, yeah, I like JoJo, we had a moment, you tried to kiss me, she would have been all over that. She would have been all over that, like if it was wings, licking her fingers and all. So I was just watching her and I was like, yeah, like I don't care. Like I don't care. I don't care. He was all excited about her. She's like, oh yeah, like we heard. So I guess Bubbles and Mrs. Peaches were talking, and I guess somehow it came out how JoJo got. Like I tell you guys, it was like he was just over her. I did low-key get a little jealous because I'm like, damn, he must really like her if Mrs. Bubbles is over here calling and talking to her, tease me on though, like, oh yeah, you should see my son. So I kind of did get like jelly, you know. I was kind of like, fuck, Alexis, like, damn, know your place. And that's not your man's. That's not your man's. I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm not really trying to really be besties with her. I'm not trying to really match with her or do her hair the same, because she was saying that I could go over and we can get ready together. I'm like, nah, I want to get ready by myself. She's like, where? Like, where are you gonna get ready by yourself? Like, where? Pretty much, because she knows like I ain't got nowhere. So she's like, where are you gonna go get your hair done? Where are you gonna go do it? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'll figure it out. I don't know. So I continue just to keep working, and I am texting the ex that like I can meet him at this time and we can meet here. We're gonna meet at a McDonald's because it's closest to him and closest to walking distance. I didn't want him to pick me up, and I didn't want to go back into like a routine with him of like, oh yeah, pick me up, and then him think that like everything's okay, because that's how things would happen. Like, we would have a big blowout fight, and then all he had to do was just pick me up, and then things were good, you know. So I didn't want to get picked up, and I didn't want to be wooed by his compliments or whatever, you know. I finish up. It was just an easy day, and before I leave, Mrs. Peach asks me again, so can you do it or not? But she's like upset. She's like, I need to know like right now. Like, I need to know right now. She's coming. I spoke very good about you. I said how good you are with the kids and how you clean. So are you gonna do it or not? Like, really upset. And Baltimore is right there, and she hears, and she's like, what's going on? She didn't clean right? What's going on? And she's like, no, I want her to watch, we'll name this friend Yandy. I wanted her to watch Yandy's kids on Friday, so you know we can go and do what we had to do. The way Baltimore made a face of like, because she knew like, what, like what's going on? And so she just stayed quiet. And so I looked at her and I took that as like, something's up, and no, I'm not gonna do it. So I told her, I'm like, well then I can't, I'm sorry, I can't, I haven't been able to look at what I'm doing that day. And she's like, Alexis, what are you gonna be doing that day? So she's getting upset, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Mrs. Peach, like, yo no puedo, like I can't watch the kids, like I'm sorry. And she's like, okay, yeah, bye, and like tells me just to leave. So I'm like, okay, she's heated. So I just continue to text my phone, because I'm not worried about that right now. I'm worried about where things stand with me and this gremlin. How are things going to be? He keeps messaging me, I don't want to fight, okay? I already know something's up, like he's acting too fishy. He then tries to say that he can't even meet up, that he has to do something. And I'm like, well, what do you have to do? Like, I'll go with you. Like, I really want to see you and I really want to talk. I don't know what it was in my panza, but it was like, see this man, see him and talk to him. I don't know if it's because I felt guilty because how me and JoJo had a moment even though we're not together. I don't know what it was, but I felt sick to the point where I was like, am I pregnant? Because I felt really sick. I felt like I wanted to throw up. I felt like something, like, you know how you feel like in a movie like something's off, like something's going up, and how people usually know when like bad happens. That's how my panza was trying to talk to me. I'm getting closer to the McDonald's, and the whole time I'm just feeling this way, something's up, and I keep trying to control myself because I'm like, what? Like, you're tripping, like you just feel guilty, like you just feel. I wanted to go and tell him about what happened between me and JoJo. I just felt so guilty that you wouldn't understand this kind of guilt that I felt. Even though we weren't together, even though he has done me dirty time and time, I still felt like, you're nasty. Can't believe you. That's what my body was telling me. I can't believe you. As I get closer, I see that he is parked. He's not even inside. I hit the window and I'm like, you know, and he just looks at me and he just like nods his head. And I'm like, okay, like what the hell? Instead of like, oh, hey, or I don't know, all of a sudden I think he's gonna change, right? And he just nods his head at me. And that man looked so worried. What's going on? And I'm like, oh my god, he's hurt. He knows what happened. Oh my god. Oh my god, Alexis, you're so, oh my god, I cannot believe you did that. You're so horrible. Oh my god, he knows. Because you know how usually when you do something back to them, their ego gets hurt and they're like, how could you? Like, how could you do me like that? I thought you were gonna be better. Right? So, sorry. That was a little bit much. That was a little bit much. He doesn't get out of the car. And I'm like, because I'm thinking like, okay, like we can like grab or something. Like, what the heck? So I'm like making like a face, like, get out. And he's like, and I'm like, okay. And he rolls down the window and I'm like, I try to get in and he doesn't open it. And so I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's going on, you know? Like, oh, he hurt. So I'm like thinking like, what the fuck? I'm like, what's going on, you know? So I'm like, open it. And he's like, I need to talk to you before you get in. And I'm like, okay, like, hurry up, like, open the door, like, just tell me what you gotta say. But I need you not to get mad. And I'm like, okay. And I'm looking at all his face. So all I see is this. I'm looking at all his face, like looking at him, like, what the fuck? Like, get in. I'm like trying to see like if something happened to him, like what's going on. And right away it just clicks in my head. This got a hickey. It has to be. Because he kept like pinching, because he used to wear like really tight shirts up here. He kept like pinching it and like kept pinching his skin like this, like I'm like hella pinching my double chin right now, but he kept going like that. And I'm like, so I was like, open right now. So I'm getting like there and he's like, chill, we just need to talk. And so I'm like, okay, we can talk when I'm in the car. Open the car right now. And so I'm mad and I'm doing my whole like, right now. So I'm like pissed and he's like, okay, we just need to talk, like all innocent, like puppy eyes and like, oh, like. And I get in and he kind of like shifts his body to me like this. So we're now looking, he's looking at me like this and I'm looking at him like this. And so I'm like, talk. Because I am so mad. I hate when I get to the point where my throat feels like it swells up and I can't talk. Because there's so much that I want to say that I feel like I could not say. And so he starts telling me about this one girl that has been in our lives for quite some time, that anytime something pops off, he goes back to her every single time. And she would think it's funny, kind of taunting me with it, about like, yeah, he came to talk to me because I understand him and I give him chon chon and you don't. Like, she really thought it was something to brag about, like if it was something cool. So he's like talking to me that they met up and they were just talking and she was like, let's make Alexis jealous, and she jumped on me and she did this, and he shows me and it's like red. The bitch was trying to spell her name so I could see, like, this is me. I was trembling. My freaking legs went stupid on me. They started like moving because I have never seen his neck so red. Have you ever tried to see someone spell their name on someone's neck? I felt dumb. I felt stupid that I was over here worried about how a boy almost kissed me, and you got this bitch. In my head I'm thinking, because I'm not gonna tell him because I would have died. I'm over here worried, scared that this boy almost kissed me, and you let another bitch get up on you and spell her name. I kept telling her, oh, because I was like, you let that bitch get on top of you? And he's like, I was holding her like this and I thought she was gonna hug me. I was like, she got on your lap to hug you? To hug you. She got on your lap to hug you? He goes, yeah, she was like this and I was holding on to her and she just like started attacking like my neck, and like I kept like pushing her, but like the more I like pushed her, the more she kept like making it deeper. You see, like this one's more red than this one, you know, you can like die from that. You let her get on your fucking lap and you want me to think she attacked you and you couldn't push her off? He's like, what do you want me to do? Push her off? Like, I didn't want to hurt her. You didn't want to hurt her? So what am I? A punching bag? Because when I try to give you kisses or I try to do certain things and you don't want me to do it at the time, at the moment, and you push me, you don't just stop. He fucking pushes me because he don't want me to leave a mark on him. He didn't want me to do anything because he felt guilty with whoever he was at the time. So you mean to tell me that you didn't want to hurt her? Oof. Oof, 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 oof. A fire was fucking lit within me and I was burning, y'all. I was hot. So I'm yelling at him and I'm pretty much like, so that's what we do. So that's what we do. So let me sit here and you want me to be okay with it. So if someone were to attack me with hickeys and love and compliments, you want me to stick? And so I said, what if someone tried to kiss me? What if we were playing ball? What if we were playing ball and he went and tried to kiss me? Well, you want me to be like, oh, and fall into it and be like, oh, he made me. You want to know what his response was? Nah, see, because that's not even funny. I can kill you. So when he told me that, I was like, okay. So I just sat there and he was like, I'm sorry. And because like you broke up with me, you hurt me when you told me you don't want to be with me no more. I'm like, because of what you did. Because of what you did. Yeah, but if you wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have met up with her. So you're gonna hurt me twice because it's my fault. Because it's my fault. So twice it's my fault. He was literally trying to put the blame on me that it's my fault. I'm like, so you couldn't pick up the phone to text me back and talk to me, but you could pick up the phone to message her. No, she was already there. And I'm like, no, because you just said that you reached out to her. So he couldn't keep the lie straight. Who hit up who? And you could see her name. Her name was not that long, but you could see her name. And so when I was talking to him and he kept moving a certain way, I kept seeing it and I was like, oh. If you're watching my story times like you said you would, bitch, that was a good one. That was a good one. That was good. That was really good. Yeah, no. That was good. That was good. Chef's kiss. Wow. Stupid, but smart because she never got knocked up by him. Josie. Por pendeja. We continue to pretty much argue about it being my fault. Like literally he really was like, it's your fault. You think I wanted to go to somebody else? Think I want to talk to somebody else about my feelings? And I'm literally looking at him. The way he would make things sound like, yeah, it's your fault, Lex. You left him alone too long. I was really feeling like it was really my fault because I shouldn't have done anything because it's my feelings. I shouldn't have confronted him that way because it made him run the other way. I shouldn't have done that because it's my fault. And if I wouldn't have done that, then he wouldn't have called on her because she's the only one who understands him. It's my fault. Now for the young girls who watch me, and if you find this very relatable, it is not your fault. It is not your fault. Do not let a man mind you into thinking that the dumb shit he does, the grimy, dirty, gunky stuff he does is your fault, because it's not. Okay? It's not. It's literally not your fault, because you know damn well if you did what he did, what they do, it would not be tolerated at all. You would not get a second chance at all. You wouldn't even get a chance to finish that sentence. He'd gone. It would not be okay. Period. Men cannot handle half of the shit they put us through. They can't. It's so insulting. They will never be able to think and live and eat because that's all they'd be thinking about. But if it was you and they hurt you, it's okay because they can still eat, sleep, shit, dream, zone out, and you think they're thinking about the hurt that they did to you? No, they're not. They're thinking about then how to not get caught the next time, how to get away, how to be more slick with it for the next time. So if you ever see them zoning out, don't be like, oh, it's because he feels bad about him. No, he doesn't. He's thinking about how to not get caught the next time, how to be smarter for the next time. I'm sitting there and I'm really like, just like, get up already. It's just like, get up, like, what are you doing? Why are you still standing here? Why are you still letting him talk? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm just like thinking in my head, and he's like looking at me, and he's sitting there scratching his head, upset, like, so what are we gonna do? Now I know you're probably thinking, Alexis, he cheats on you all the time. He sleeps with other people all the time. Like, why does it matter that he had hickeys? It's one thing knowing about it, that they're stepping up on you, but it's another to see it. And you know how much of an insult it is to see the bitch's name? You know how it's a different kind of slap in the face. Now I can't sit here and tell you young Lex wouldn't have minded if they slept together. I mean, not see the evidence. But just the hickeys, oh my gosh. I don't know why, it hurt so much different. He was saying some other stuff, but I could not hear because I feel like my whole face went numb, and my ears, they could not hear any noise. I don't know if it was my brain protecting me or what, but I did not want to hear anything that came out of his mouth. It literally just went numb. And so the reason why I came to was because he said, did you hear what he said? What are we gonna do? Can you help me take them off? Can you help me take them off? And he laughed about it. And I don't know why I laughed too. And that's what he could do. He could make me laugh. And I laughed with him. I thought that funny. Like, stupid funny. I was laughing. I was laughing good. I was like, I can't even fake laugh right now. But I was like, wow. And so we just like literally just sat there in the car for which seems like eternity. And I kept telling myself, like, get out. What are you doing? Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. I thought like if I got out of the car, it would be like final. Like we won't be together no more. I felt like this man did bruja on me because I could not be like, we broke up a lot, but I could not just like cut it completely. I don't know how to explain it to you. I don't know how to explain it. So when I talk to people of all ages and they're just like, no one understands that I can't just like leave, I don't know how to, I understand it. I completely understand it. It is so much easier for someone to tell you what to do than for you to feel it. But once you know you're done, you're done. But you are the only person who will know when the enough is enough. Even if it seems like, oh my God, like he literally effed her in front of me. If you're not done, you're not done. So I'm just sitting there trying to get up the courage to like open the door and get out. But a part of me feels like if I get out, that's it. And a part of me feels like, is he gonna try and reach for me? And he's still trying to continue to like talk and be funny, like, yeah, I was crazy, like she just started attacking me, trying to explain to me that it's not as nasty as it looks, and just being dumb and giving me the reason of like how it happened. And his phone starts to ring and he goes like ignores it quick, and I'm like, who was it? He's like, nobody. And I'm like, then why did you ignore it so quickly? Obviously it's somebody. Answer it. And he's like, they're not gonna call back. No, they're not gonna call back. I'm like, answer it. Call them back. Oh my God, what's up with you? You just want to fight. What did I tell you before you got here? I don't want to fight, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I heard what you said. Answer it. And he's like, they're not calling me back. And I look at him and he picks up. I know how he talks to his mommy and how he talks to other people. I am not fluent at the time. Well, I'm still not. I understand more than I can speak. I know what's going on if you talk to me in Spanish, and I will sometimes respond to you in Spanish, but most likely I will respond to you in English because I feel like I don't say the words right, and I just feel stupid if I say something wrong, and I ain't trying to hear, oh no, like, oh, you say it's stupid or whatever, you know. And he tells this person, answers it and goes, que ma? He says ma, trying to make me think that he's talking to his mommy. He don't answer the phone like that to his mom. First of all, I don't know who he's trying to fool. And then he tells the person that he's almost done doing what he has to, that he'll be on his way. Now this person on his neck does not speak Spanish at all, not Mexican. So I know it's not who he has on his neck. He is talking to them like, okay, I'll be there in a minute, blah, 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 in Spanish. And he thinks I don't understand what he's saying, but I understand to a certain extent. And so I just look at him and I bolt it for the door. I bolt it for the door. He tries to get me, but I bolt it. And I run inside the McDonald's. So he follows after me and tells me to go back to the car. And I'm like, I'm good. And he's like, come on, stop acting stupid. Get in the car. And I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere with you. I am creating a scene. And we all know how this man gets when I create scenes. So he starts getting annoyed. And then starts to walk out and gets on his phone. I'm thinking like, oh, he's pissed. He's probably calling me. He gets on his phone and starts smiling right away like, haha. So I'm like, oh, motherfucker. It's not me. It's not me who he's smiling at, blah, 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 blah. So I get out. I get pissed, yo. I get so pissed. One of the ladies that works at this McDonald's asks me if everything's okay, if she needs to call anybody for me. And I tell her, no, it's fine. I'm gonna leave once he takes off. And she's like, okay, let me know if you need anything. Do you need anything to drink? I was like, no, I'm fine. Because she's seen all the commotion. Super nice lady. Dumb me messages him, we're done. Done. I don't ever want to see you. I don't want to ever hear you talk to me again. Don't da-da-da-da-da. Going off at him. Guys, okay. So I'm like, like, what is wrong with me that he cannot just treat me right? Like, honestly, like, what is wrong with me where he can't just love me? Like, how am I so unlovable? And then I tried to mind F myself about, but you're not innocent either. Like, you were having a moment with JoJo. And then I'm like, no. So I'm like fighting in my head. You know, some people don't talk to themselves in their head. I found that out not that long ago. And I was like, what the fuck? That's crazy. Because I feel like I've talked to myself. I've always had myself in my head, you know, which is funny and sad. But maybe that's why y'all don't talk to each other. You don't talk to yourself in your head because you have people to talk to. I didn't have anyone to talk to. So I literally would have the devil and the angel. Literally. Because I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. About what was going on or who could understand me and why I continued to let this man disrespect me and treat me like shit. And I just didn't understand it. So I continued to walk and I start walking towards the library. I am just crying. And the back of my head, I'm like, stop crying because someone's gonna stop and they're gonna ask you, why are you crying? And then they're gonna kidnap you. And that's gonna be the end of it because ain't no one give a fuck about you right now at all. He didn't care if he left me there crying. He got right on his phone and called whoever it was and started smiling. He don't give a fuck about you. So I go to the library, say hello to the librarian, and I sit there and I just start messing with my status. Single AF, don't need nobody, F everybody, like going off a whole little thing in my feelings. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't put your business like that on Facebook. Relationship me, huh? Don't be telling everyone your cheese, me over here telling you guys about my freaking story times. Okay, anyways, not the same. I do that and I'm there for like a good hour or two. Feels like forever. And good. Ew, that's nasty.
A baby pooped.
The baby pooped. So after an hour or two of me just pondering in my own feelings, the light comes in and plays me like a mofo. I get a text message from Bubbles asking me if I was free later on today, if I can help her with some last minute shopping. I was thrilled, but I didn't want to come off like, you know, available. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll be free like in 30 minutes. I can. She's like, okay, where can I pick you up? Did I pick you up from where I dropped you off? And I'm like, oh no, I am going to be at the library. I have to finish some stuff. And she's like, okay, great, I can pick you up there. I'm like, okay, cool. So I had 30 minutes, went to the restroom, fixed my hair, cleaned myself up so I could look somewhat presentable and cute for Mrs. Bubbles. And I was trying to get all my tears out. I know it sounds stupid and crazy, but I was literally trying to I was trying to make myself cry again so I can get all my tears out. So if it did come up in combo of like, hey, how are you feeling, I would be like and start crying. So I was like, come on, beach, get it out, cry right now to myself in the mirror. I'm serious. So I could get it all out, and I cried and I cried, and to the point that whoever would come in walked right back out because they were like, oh god, you know, they weren't trying to see what was going on in there. Got all my tears out, and by the time Jade wants to come in here, but I'm recording. I would literally have her play, but the way everything is set up right now, no. I got out all my tears, and by the time I got all my tears out and cleaning up myself, Bubbles was already like on my way, be there in 5. So I was ready. So I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, oh, I hope she don't have JoJo because I'm not in the mood to like talk to a dude. Like at this point, at that moment, I was like, oh dudes, I hate dudes, because you know how dumb I felt, y'all. Like I keep saying it, but I really hope y'all like understand how stupid I felt seeing that girl's name. Anyways, oh, and before that whole hour, 2 hour, I checked her profile because that's just what we do, you know. We're like, I want to see if y'all were posting photos, and sure enough, she had him on her profile, and they were like hanging out, and it was them and a couple other friends, and it was his friends that I could not stand. So I'm like, all right, definitely careful, because y'all are grimy, so grimy to think that is cool, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't got no loyalty to me, but that's grimy. And it's crazy how they got their karma back. I'll tell you a little story. So one of his close friends, the one that would literally be sitting in the car with us, and my ex would be on phone calls with his Sancha that I didn't know about at the time, and he'd be like, oh, he's talking to his sister, and would try to distract me from hearing what was going on in the combo, because he kind of knew that I knew. He got his dream girl pregnant, and it's not even his baby. It's crazy how things have been happening little by little, and people don't usually get the karma like I see. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but it comes slowly. And so all the trifling stuff that he would see what this man would do to me and be like, ah, she's so stupid. You're stupid, pendejo stupido. You're stupid. Because while you think that you're all him and behind and you think never you, why not? Huh? Why not? When I found out, and I was like, dang, that's crazy. And don't feel bad for them. Like honestly, the things that these, not just because like, oh, he knew that I was getting cheated on, but just how they would do trifling stuff and think never them, because they thought they were always smarter than everybody else. I mean, it's crazy too how I found out I wasn't even looking for the cheese man, and I was like, dang, that's crazy. When I would ask you things and cry to you about why your homie didn't love me and what I could do to better myself, and you'd sit there and you'd be like, you just gotta like, you know, dress prettier, you just gotta do like, you know, like more sexual stuff, and like tell me that I wasn't pleasing him enough, and that I should do this and I should do that. And that's why if you would do all those things, he wouldn't cheat on you. FTP, FTP, and FTP. Okay? My horns come out every time. Bubbles picks me up, and she is dressed so freaking cute. She told me as soon as I got in the car, I didn't bring JoJo because I wanted it just to be a girl's day. And I was like, oh. You know what? Thank you. Because she's like, I know, our last visit, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more and let you know that I'm here. So she only made it just for us, just in case I wanted to talk to her about some things, just because of, you know, my breakdown the other night, which I thought was really nice, that she, you know, was like, I don't know if you wanted to talk to me or you just wanted it just to be us. And so I felt like that was so sweet and considerate of her, because what if I did want to talk to her about everything that happened today and vent to her, and I didn't want to have JoJo there. So I thought that was super sweet and considerate. A lot of things that have happened in my childhood, I take a lot from different people who have showed me different things, and to be compassionate this way, be you know, think about this, and think about that. So a lot of things I have taken and that has made me who I am, and why I do certain things or why I don't say certain things around certain people, because it could be a trigger or it could be this, it could be that. So those are one of the things that I made sure to do when anyone around me was having a moment or a day. I made sure that if I was going to go pick them up or something and they were having a bad day, or they had a bad day prior, or the last visit we had, to make sure that it was just like me or someone else they trusted, but so that they could vent. We go shopping and I'm just helping her just get some stuff for the house, and I think she just wanted a girl to shop with, and there wasn't anything in particular that we were looking for. At first she said some stuff for the party, but it didn't seem like some stuff for the party. We were looking at clothes and just hanging out. We got some drinks and we were just sipping and talking, munching, eating, just having a good time. I know sometimes you might look at that and be like, oh, that's kind of weird that she's hanging out with someone so young. People probably thought like either she was my aunt or she could have been my mother. So it's not as weird. And there's times where even just because there's like a huge age gap, she knew I needed someone. She knew I needed comfort. So even if it was just to go get a snack or to go and pay some bills, she knew that it meant a lot, because I had no one. Now as a grown adult, she would tell me how the Peaches would tell her that I would stay a little bit late because I probably had nowhere to go, but they're like, but we're not gonna pay her extra just because she wanted to stay late. Bubbles didn't take it as like, oh, she's trying to scam you guys for money. Bubbles took it as she had nowhere to go. Like, why wouldn't you guys make her feel comfortable? Why wouldn't you guys take her shopping with you? Why wouldn't you guys go into that? Or when they would bring up like, oh, you don't have this kind of pantalon, like this kind of thing, and I'm like, oh no, like that's kind of pricey. They took it as like, oh, buy me it, I need it. But it wasn't. Bubbles seen it for what it was. Like, she didn't have money. Like, why would she buy that kind of pants? Like, she's not saying it to be like, oh, take care of me, you know. And I hope I never came off like that. I don't feel like I ever came off like that. I never was like, oh, poor me, poor me, poor me, because to me, I don't like that. And we were always like scolded if we ever did come off braggish. Like, you know how those kids are like, I love Cheetos. When they see you eat Cheetos, we couldn't do that. My mom would have been like, no, because no, like you could open up something, or when someone would bring food and not enough for us, we wouldn't be the one like, oh, I'm hungry. We'd be like, and continue, because it was nothing. Like, it didn't bother me. Do you know what I'm saying? My mom didn't raise us like that to be like, oh, we want, you know. But we were raised, if you went somewhere, you either eat before or you bring enough for todos, because it's rude. And we were told not to brag about things that we have if others didn't have, you know. Yeah, so when she told me that, I was like, ew, they're ugly. Like, I didn't even think of it like that, and like how they probably thought like, oh, she thinks that we're gonna pay her more. She's stupid. So we're just having a ball, shopping, getting just whatever she wanted, things around the house, asking me like, oh, do you like this, do you like that? Some things I said no, because I was like, I don't want her to feel like she has to get me something. And if anything, I just enjoy her company more than anything. I don't want anything, and where's it gonna go? Where am I gonna put it? So I just wanted just to hang out with her and have a good time. So we're still hanging out, and I get a message. Now, before I even looked at it, I was like, it's the ex, and he's gonna say how sorry he is, and he's gonna apologize. I'm glowing. It's the blush. It's the blush, okay? It's the blush. I got scared for a minute. I was like, I swear, y'all be giving me baby juju like a mofo too. I'm like, stop it right now. Whatever you say back to me bounces back to you. Y'all really want me to have another FamBam baby? I swear, God. And I know you guys wanted to hear about the wedding, but I'm telling you guys day by day how everything went. So I get the message and I'm thinking, okay, it's gonna be the ex. Oh my God, he came to his senses, blah, 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 right? No, it was JoJo. And he asked, are you still with my mom? Question mark with a smiley face. And I tell him, yeah. He says, where at? My dad's gonna drop me off. And I'm like, what the hell? Low-key excited. And I'm like, we're here. Let's say it was Target. I'm like, we're at Target. So he's like, okay, don't tell my mom, I'm gonna surprise her. I'm like, okay. So we're at this aisle. He tells me what aisle. I tell him the aisle, everything. She's showing me something. He sneaks up behind her and scares the shit out of her. And she starts laughing, and he picks her up and starts twirling his mama around, and it's just cute. And she's like hitting him, and she's like, damn it, JoJo, you scared me. And she's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, Dad dropped me off. She's like, what? Me and Alexis were having a girls' day. And he's like, yep, I want to see her too. I was like, And so I just like looked away and I smiled. And then by the time I turned back around, he was like right there. And he's like, you want to see me too, huh? And I'm like, I guess. Like, ooh, I guess. And he's like, I know. And I'm like, you're dumb and you're ugly. That was my thing. You're dumb, you're ugly. And he'd be like, okay, but you like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. He was quick with the talking, and I mean quick. And he knew he was cute, which is very dangerous, right? Okay. We continued to shop, and his mom was saying like, oh, you ruined our girls' day, huh, Alexis, huh, Alexis? And I could not say it because I'm like, we were having a great, I'm like, yeah, we were having a great girls' day. And he's like, but now it's even better. I'm like, yeah, it's alright, you know, just playing around with him. And we were walking by this aisle, and my hands were just there. My hands were just there. And ooh, he slowly kept like brushing up against me and like grabbing my finger as I walked by. And I'd be like, oh, girl, when I tell you these goosebumps were like itching to come out of my buns, I was like, is it hot in here? It's hot, it's hot. It's a little hot, huh? He knew what he was doing, and he knew he was cute, which is very dangerous. So went to this aisle, and it had like the cups, you know how they say cheers and all stuff like that. And so we're going to that aisle, and he grabs one, he gives me one, and he's like, cheers. I'm like, cheers to what? He's like, cheers to us. And I'm like, and so I make up his, I'm like, and then he grabs it back, and he's like, or did you guys get back together? I was like, He's like, oh, what happened about that? I was like, you don't even want to know. And he's like, tell me, I got time. And so I'm like, we're with your mom. Like, you know, like, it's not the time. Like, what you mean? Like, we don't got time to talk about nothing. And he's like, come on. And so he says, tag your it. And so I'm like, okay, we're gonna have a little Walmart reminiscence again. And so he tags me, and so we just take off. And then we stop running towards like way back. And he like screams as we're running, like, we'll be back, ma. And so we run towards like the back of the aisle, and we stop. And as we stop, both of our hands stop together, and he like grabs me, and then he pulls back, and he kind of just like smiles. And so I tell him, I'm like, why do you do that? And he's like, do what? I'm like, flirt with me. And he's like, who wouldn't flirt with you? And I'm like, why? You know, like just why? He's like, tell me your story. And I'm like, all right, so before your mom picked me up, I seen the ex. And he's like, oh, so he finally hit you up? I'm like, nah, I hit him up. And he's like, for what? Like, you could tell he was kind of like, what? Like, what the fuck? And I was like, because he's my boyfriend. He's like, did you break up with him? I'm like, yeah, but still, like, you don't understand. And he's like, okay, kind of like annoyed. And so I'm like, do you want to know or not, like, about it, you know? And he's like, yeah, tell me. And so I tell him about the girl and the hickeys, all of it. And he's like, damn, so you guys like done, like, for sure now? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. And he's like, how do you feel about it? I'm like, I don't know, like, I'm still like really hurt. We're talking like face to face, and I'm like, I'm just hurt. And so my hands are dangling again, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just hurt, like that. And he grabs both my hands and he pulls me closer, and he freaking kisses me. Hey. So when he pulls me closer and he just kisses me, I literally felt like me going on my tippy toes. And then he releases his lips, he lets me go, and then he just has like a big ass smile on his face, big ass smile. And I'm like, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right because like I'm over here saying like I'm hurt about another dude, talking about another dude, and then it felt weird, you know? And so he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I'm and he's like, you didn't like it? And so he grabs my chin and he kisses me, and I'm like, he kisses me, and then I hear, hey, and it's Mrs. Bubbles, and he lets go, and he looks at her, and he's like, shut. And so she's like, what are you guys doing? Trying so hard not to smile. And I'm like, doesn't sound so stupid, huh? He kissed me, like it was him. And so I'm like, nothing. And I ran back to her and I apologized. I was like, I'm so sorry. She's like, that's why you guys wanted to run away. That's why you wanted him to come to ruin our girls' day. And so I'm like, no ma'am. And she just looks at me. She's like, I'm just playing with you, Alexis. She's like, come on. But none of that. We go to the cashier and we're walking out and we're holding bags, and he tells me like, here, give me some of the bags. So as I'm giving him some of the bags, he keeps trying to like touch my fingers as I'm giving him the bags, and we're kind of just like giggling and getting with each other, you know, and we're like laughing. And then he puts, instead of him putting all the groceries in the back, he puts them in the front so that I don't sit in the front. And his mom's like, Jojo. He's like, what, ma? They're just like, the back is broken, remember? The back, we can't open the trunk. It could open because I've been shopping with Bubbles all day, but he was trying to be cute. So he puts everything in the front, and then he gets in the back, puts his belt on, and he pats the side next to him. Now it's where he sits, and then there's a middle, and then there's me. And so I don't sit close to him butt cheek because there's no reason for me to sit close to him. Okay, so there's a room in the middle, and I put down the armrest. And so he looks at me and he's all, right away I was like, oh my god, I don't want to irritate him, I don't want to upset him, like he's really trying. Don't be like that. Don't always feel like you have to be like the one to compromise with everything. No. Okay, so she asks me if there's anywhere else I wanted to go, and I'm like, no, it's fine. I was like, you could take me home if you want. I was going to be dropped off at my mom's friend's house because my mom was there again. She was starting her phase, and that's what she would do. And she's like, oh, you're ready to go home? And I was like, if you want to take me home, like I'm not ready to go home, like sure, we could spend all day together. And I was smiling, and Jojo's like, we could spend all day together. And I was like, us, all of us. Trying to be funny. So then she's like, okay, let's go home. I'm thinking when she said home, I'm thinking she meant my home, but no. So we pull up into the driveway, we get the things out, and we just have some family time. We're talking. She's asking me if I'm hungry. I said yes. She starts cooking whatever she's cooking, and me and Jojo, we sit on the couch, and I sit down first, and he sits right next to me, and as he plops right next to me, he puts his hand on top of my hand, and then I just like, I don't go like this, I'm just like, so he's like this, and I'm like that. He like asks me like, is it too soon? I'm like, yeah, way too soon. And he's like, why? And I'm like, because it just is, like feelings, all of it is just too soon. And he's like, all right, and just like scoots to the side and starts to kind of not be mean, but not try as hard, because he's probably like, I keep pulling out all the stops and she ain't stopping, you know. We're just sitting there, we're watching a show, and we're like laughing, just having fun. And then I see him go on his phone, and he's just like smiling like how he would towards me. And so I try to stop myself, like, you have no reason to be celosa or anything like that, like he's not yours, you know. But I couldn't help, because I'm like, I just told him not that long ago too soon, but does that mean like you can't flirt with me, you know? So he's smiling at his phone. I'm like, what you smiling at? And he's like, you said too soon. And so I'm like, I knew it, like I knew it. And he's like, no, I'm just talking to some of my friends. And he's like, see? And he like shows me his phone, and I just glance, and I try not to look because I don't want to be like, you know, go through it and stuff. And so he's like, see? And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And then he starts laughing, and I was like, what happened to your little girlfriend? And he's like, oh yeah, so I wrote her. And I was like, you knew exactly who I was talking about. He's like, yeah, about her, like I wrote her and we're talking. He's like, she's cool. I was like, yeah, she really is. And I'm like, she's nice. And he's like, yeah. He's like, she's pretty too. And I was like, yeah. He's like, very pretty. I'm like, yeah, she's very pretty. And I wasn't even looking at him. I was like, yeah, you know, I just like talking. And then he like reaches for my hand, and then he's like, not your kind of pretty. And I was like, and he's like, what, you're not gonna say yeah? And I was like, and not because she was ugly or anything. She was not because I was being cocky at all. It was just like he had me like butterflies, like I couldn't talk. My phone goes off right away. This boy snatches it quick, and he looks at it. He's like, oh, it's your mom. I was like, and who did you think it was? He's like, I don't know, the ex. I was like, oh yeah, you're gonna answer? He's like, yep. I was gonna say, she's taken care of, I got her. No, he was just like being funny. I was like, you're stupid. So I answered it, and it's my mom. That was my thing. You're dumb, you're stupid. That was my thing. I don't know why. I answered, it's my mom. She's asking where I'm going, what I'm doing, what time I'm gonna be over at that house. And I was like, whenever you need me to go over there. She's like, take your time, but don't come too late. I'm like, okay, cool. So I hang up and I tell him pretty much what she says, and he's like, what's the latest? And I was like, probably 11. He's like, all right, you're gonna stay here until 10:59. And I was like, okay. We were just having fun, and he was asking me like how the peaches were, and like if they were like upset that like how much time I've been spending with Bubbles. And I'm like, yeah, I think so. I was like, I think that we're like feeling some way. And he was like, nah. He's like, my mom's been catching on to it. She's been asking me, and she's like, nah, maybe I'm just overthinking it. And I was like, nah, she's not overthinking anything. Like, that's really how they are. And so we started like chismeando about them, which I shouldn't have, but I felt really comfortable with Jojo, or like we were just kind of talking, conversing, and I didn't really think anything of it. I didn't think like, oh, this is gonna come out, or oh, this. I didn't think anything of it. He was asking me about Sam and how Sam was acting, and I was like, oh, I don't know. He's like, you tell her you got a new boo? And I was like, no, because you're not my boo. And I told her I didn't like you, and he's like, lies. And I was like, you're stupid. Again, you're dumb. You're stupid, you dumb. And so he's just laughing. Don't have me waiting too long, because I'm gonna tell her what's up. I was like, tell her what's up right now. He's all, damn, chill. I'm just playing. I was like, no, tell her right now. Tell her what's up. I'll give you her. I was getting all defensive, and because I don't like that. I don't like it when a boy thinks that like they got one on you, or they think like, oh, you have to hurry up. You call me? No, I already got one that's like stupid with me. I don't need two. Cool. Purdue. Asked me if I want to go play basketball, and I was like, I don't want to play basketball with you. And he was like, why? He's like, you should like playing basketball with me. And I was like, I don't like playing basketball with you. You don't play right. He's like, oh, I play right. And I was like, He's like, come on. So I'm sitting down, and he grabs into my thigh and squeezes, and he's like, come on, and like goes to pick me up and pull me up. So he pulls me up, and he's like, Mom, we're gonna be outside. She's like, okay, play right, Jojo. And he's like, okay. And so we go outside and we play, and there's like no like flirting or anything. It was just like we were literally playing, and it felt like the day just went phew. It felt like, you know how you see those movies and how you see it sunset and then you start seeing it change and it gets darker? It got like that. And so we're out there, and then we ended up just chilling, sitting down, because we were like running out of breath, chilling, sitting down, and then we ended up laying down and just looking up at the stars. And he was like telling me, like, we're just talking about like life, like deep life, and like what do you want to do when you grow up, and you know, that kind of combo. And I was like, I want to work with kids. I want to, you know, be someone that people could talk to like in the system, and I want to be there. And he was like, dang, that's cool, like I want to do this kind of stuff. He wanted to like build buildings and stuff, and I'm like, dang, that's awesome. And he's like, yeah, what kind of husband you want? I was like, I want a husband that's gonna be nice to me, and even if he's upset with me, like he's not gonna talk ill about me or make me feel stupid or belittle me or talk to me any sort of way. What kind of wife do you want? And as I look over, and then he's like, whatever you're gonna be when you grow up. I was like, you're stupid, you're dumb again. And then he's like, oh, you're mean. And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be mean. And he's like, your guard's all the way up. And I was like, yeah, for a good reason. And I was like, and you don't want a wife like me. I was like, because I don't know who I'm gonna be. I was like, I don't know who I'm gonna be in a couple of years. I was like, and if you ever do get a wife like me, I was like, she'll be lucky. Like, we were being corny. No, so what kind of house you want us to get? He started talking like that, and I was like, I don't know. And so we were like just talking about stuff like that, and I wouldn't correct him all the time about like what house you're gonna get with your wife, your babies. And we kept doing that, you know. I kept doing stuff like that, and then eventually Bubbles called us in, and the food has already had been done. Her and her husband already ate, and she would just serve me and Jojo. And so she tells us that she's gonna be upstairs and she's gonna run a bath. So we're both sitting at the table, and he was asking me like, you want a fork, you want this, and what I wanted to drink, all of that. And I'm like, oh, I want this, yeah, I want that, yeah, can I have that please? And he's like, you see, already doing husband duties. And I was like, you're tripping, the pasas, like this ain't nothing. He's like, oh, so everyone just be serving on you? I'm like, no. And so we're kind of like laughing and giggling and just being giddy with each other, and it was just a nice combo and just talking. Nothing happened. It was just very just like nice. And then we started talking about the wedding. So we're talking about the wedding, like we were gonna like do stuff. And so he was telling me that what time he wanted me to be there to make sure that I'm not babysitting, I'm not doing anything. And I'm like, oh yeah, speaking of that, the Peaches want me to babysit on this day. And he's like, why would they want you to babysit on the wedding? I was like, Joe, I didn't even think about the day. I was just like, everything that was going on, I wasn't even like. And he's like, dang, they're dirty. And I was like, yeah, they are, because I guess they had a limit to like how many kids that they wanted there, and they wanted things a certain way, so that Bubbles and her husband would be like the main, you know, and there would be like no distractions. I've heard of people not letting babies come, children come, only teens and up and stuff like that. And so he was like, why is she like that? I'm like, dude, I don't know. I was like, and she kept pressing me too about, so we were just talking about it. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think me telling him anything would think it was going to lead to anything, because later on Jojo talks to Bubbles about it. So we're just talking about it, and then it's already 10:30 and I'm like, okay, I gotta go. And so I tell him if he can call down his mom. And so he leans forward and he's like, if you give me a kiss, I'll go to my mom. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, I'll do it myself. And so I'm getting out of my chair to go and walk, to go scream up the stairs like, Bubbles, I'm ready. And he gets in front of me again and he's like, give me a kiss and I'll go tell her. And I'm like, no. And so I continue to walk, and then he like pulls me closer and I just hug him. I just hug him, and he can't help but freaking laugh hard, because you know usually when someone pulls you up closer, then you guys like Mac. No, he pulled me closer and I was like, and I just hugged him. I was like, and he just laughed and he hugged me tight, and he's like, you give good hugs. And I'm like, thanks. So then he's like, Ma, he screams for her. Alexis ready to leave me. And so she comes down and she's like, shut up, Jojo, shut up. And so I'm laughing because he's just funny. And so we end up leaving, and then she takes me to my mom's friend's house, and then that was the end of that day. So the next story time is going to be the actual wedding and everything that happened. That one's gonna probably be a long story time, because there's so many details, and I want you guys to understand everything in the moment and how everything happened, and Bubbles telling the Peaches how she felt about certain things. So it is going to be drama. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. If you guys did, please make sure to give me a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell so you guys are notified when I do post, and I'll see you guys in my next story time. Bye.